The wrestling world was rocked today by the loss of one of the most important figures in lucha libre history. Rey Mysterio Sr. has passed away at 66, leaving behind a legacy that shaped professional wrestling in ways few truly understand. This is not just the death of a respected trainer or veteran performer. It marks the end of a foundational era, one that quietly influenced modern wrestling across the globe. Born Miguel Ángel López Diaz, Rey Mysterio Sr. was the man who trained his nephew, Rey Mysterio Jr., and helped engineer the high-flying, fast-paced style that would eventually redefine what wrestling could look like. Decades before lucha-inspired matches filled major arenas and global broadcasts, Rey Sr. was refining those techniques in small gyms and modest venues, long before the industry knew how valuable they would become. The news was confirmed when Rey Mysterio Jr. shared an emotional tribute online, openly grieving the man who shaped not only his career but his entire life. The raw emotion in that moment made one thing clear: this loss goes far beyond wrestling storylines or championships. This was a personal bond, broken by time. What makes this situation even harder to accept is the reality that Rey Mysterio Sr. never received the recognition his influence deserved. Despite being the architect behind one of the most iconic wrestling careers of all time, he was never formally honored by WWE, never inducted into a major Hall of Fame, and rarely acknowledged by the mainstream wrestling machine that profited enormously from his work. While others reached global fame, Rey Sr. stayed behind the scenes, dedicating himself to training young wrestlers and perfecting techniques that would later be showcased on the biggest stages in the industry. WrestleMania-level moments were built on foundations he helped create, yet his name was rarely mentioned when credit was handed out. Today, social media is filled with tributes from wrestlers, promoters, and executives. But the timing exposes an uncomfortable truth. Where was this appreciation when he struggled financially? Where was the industry's support during his health battles? The wrestling business has a long history of celebrating pioneers only after they're gone, and Rey Mysterio Sr. is another painful example of that failure. His journey began in the tough neighborhoods of Tijuana during the 1970s. Lucha Libre already had deep roots, but Rey Sr. brought innovation, blending tradition with aerial athleticism that felt revolutionary. He wasn't the biggest or strongest competitor, but he understood psychology, pacing, and storytelling at a level that made every match feel authentic and meaningful. His training philosophy was far ahead of its time. While others focused on basic holds, Rey Sr. taught movement, rhythm, and creativity. He believed wrestling was evolving and that the performers who could combine athletic spectacle with emotional storytelling would shape its future. That belief proved correct. Though Rey Mysterio Jr. became his most famous student, Rey Sr.'s influence extended far beyond his family. Numerous luchadors who later found international success learned under his guidance. Every high-risk aerial maneuver seen today carries echoes of his teachings. The relationship between Rey Sr. and Rey Jr. went deeper than family. It was mentorship in its purest form. Rey Jr. has spoken openly about how his uncle kept him focused, disciplined, and away from destructive paths. When others doubted the undersized teenager's future in wrestling, Rey Sr. saw potential and refused to let it go to waste. Training was relentless. Hours of repetition in uncomfortable conditions, mastering not just moves but mental toughness. Rey Sr. believed greatness required sacrifice, discipline, and emotional intelligence, not shortcuts. Beyond his family, Rey Mysterio Sr. mentored an entire generation of Mexican wrestlers who helped transform the industry worldwide. His influence reshaped how lucha was perceived, breaking stereotypes and proving that speed, skill, and heart could rival brute strength. Ironically, despite his massive impact, Rey Sr. never benefited financially from the global success of the style he helped create. While major promotions generated millions, he continued working in small venues, driven by love for the craft rather than profit. This imbalance reflects one of wrestling's ugliest truths: those who innovate are often the least rewarded. His later years were marked by health issues directly linked to decades of physical punishment. Like many wrestlers of his era, he endured injuries without complaint, prioritizing the business and his students over his own well-being. The lack of long-term healthcare and financial security for wrestling veterans remains a systemic issue, and Rey Sr.'s story underscores just how damaging that neglect can be. Despite everything, he never stopped contributing. Right up until his final days, he continued training wrestlers and sharing his knowledge. His passing isn't just the loss of a legend, it's the loss of living history. Much of Rey Mysterio Sr.'s work exists only in memory. Unlike modern wrestlers whose careers are meticulously archived, many of his greatest matches were never properly recorded. That makes preserving his story even more urgent, relying on oral history from those who knew him best. His influence goes beyond athletic innovation. Rey Sr. believed wrestling was both art and sport, rooted in culture, emotion, and human connection. He taught that every match should tell a story and that wrestlers carried a responsibility to honor their heritage. The bond within the Mysterio family only deepens the tragedy. Rey Jr.'s children, now stepping into wrestling themselves, were shaped by Rey Sr.'s philosophy. Future generations will move forward without his guidance. A loss felt not just by the family, but by wrestling itself. As wrestling becomes more global, Rey Mysterio Sr.'s impact continues to spread. Wrestlers across continents study techniques born in small Mexican rings decades ago. His life proves that creativity doesn't need massive platforms to change the world. It only needs time. Rey Mysterio Sr.'s death is a reminder that wrestling's pioneers are not immortal. The industry must do better at honoring its legends while they're still here to feel it. The wrestling world is quieter today without him. But every time a wrestler leaves their feet, every time a crowd holds its breath during a high-flying moment, his legacy lives on. Rest in peace, Rey Mysterio Sr. Your influence cannot be erased, your contributions cannot be denied, and your place in wrestling history is permanent.